Hello there, my name's Mark and these are my Dice Tales, and recently I've been playing Elder Scrolls, is this right? Modiphius' Elder Scrolls Skyrim called Twarms. That's a mouthful to say. I just want to call it Skyrim. I think other people are calling it the Elder Scrolls, and anyway, let's leave that alone. So it's not officially out yet. Modiphius have released the PDF rules, so you can check them out before it comes out, but not completely. So you can get the rules, you can get a quick... There's the core rules, there is Escape Helgen, which is like a tutorial book, and if you pre-ordered, you can get a copy of the quest book, or you can pay, I think it's like $5, I don't know what it was in pounds, to get the quest book as well if you haven't pre-ordered. And if you've gone for a local shop, I think you can email them with some sort of proof of purchase. There's an FAQ on that, I won't go into that. But you can get potentially 3 PDFs with the rules. However, all these rules in themselves will not give you the play experience, because you're going to need the dice. They have given you self-build dice if you want to make a paper version, and there are no cards, so this game relies on the cards, which are the weapon upgrades for your characters, the monster cards. So let's say we've got Hero Quest, you'd have monster cards which should have the monster stats on, and I'll tell you how hard the monster hits, how many damage it can take, you know, simple as that. So how have I played it? So I'm a big Lego Heroica fan, and there are basically 4 types of dice. Let's see. There is a green one, and that is a modifier. So it says modify your dice by 1, 2, or 3, and so I basically made one from Lego Heroica. Each of these, anywhere where there's a green pip, so that's a 3 green pip, that's 1 green pip, and that's a special symbol. Same for a yellow dice, has lots of 1 hits on it. Has a special as well, and the maximum is 2 damage on that. My black dice is a 2 special, the 1 special, and then all the numbers 2, 3 hits. And the green dice is more simple, more hits on it, 2 hits, 1 hits, 3 hits, and the special symbol as well. And then for the actual main feature, 20-sided dice. I made a table that has the misses, the numbers, the critical hits, and the replenishes, and if I needed to, I've got the dice in sort of a table format as well, which I don't want to show in too much detail because that would be infringing on some copyrights, but for personal use it is okay to use. So, also, you're going to need more than that. You're going to need the events. Yuck. So, I've been scouring the web for other YouTubers and basically wrote down what I needed. You need 11 events at least, and the events come in, I think they come in a versus mode and delve mode, and then they come in a variety of dungeon events, outdoor forest events, mountain events, and such like that. I won't go into too much detail, but you can break down and sort of make an event list. You need an event deck of 11 cards. I won't go into the recipe of what that 11th deck is. It's in the rules. Something else you're going to need. So it's a little bit of work. If you want to try and make it work, read the rules and try digest them if you can. But I find that I need to read the rules and sort of play it out in front of me to really digest them. My first run through of getting the rules was very, very scruffy, all over the place, and then I started making little stat cards. So Hadvar the Elite. There are official YouTubers showing these kind of cards. No, not these kind of cards, the official cards online, which is where I got these stat numbers from. And then I looked at the quick build list in the end of the quest book, I think. It says what Hadvar wears, what the Imperial Mage wears and equips, what spell she comes with, what the Dragon Board comes with. And also, just this month, I've already talked about it, Miniature Wargames magazine came with an official shiny Dragon Board card, exactly the same as the one that you're going to get in Core Box, apart from its name is Dragonborn Triumphant and the picture being different, all the stats are going to be the same, and it's shiny. But also in the magazine, they came with 2 adversaries, a wolf and a bear at 10 points, and I think, is that 35 points? Yep, 35 points for a bear. A minion and a master, we'll get to that in a moment. So I played about maybe 2 or 3 games, maybe one where I was just getting to know the rules. Then I played the mission in the magazine, Voice of the Sky, which shows you a little bit of a terrain layout there and how to play. But it does refer to things in the core set. And then I played the first delve mission in the actual magazine itself. Yeah, so it's a bit of work if you want to try and play yourself. If you can't wait till May, I've seen Fantasy Flight games have now been pushed to sort of July, and it's like, oh no, I can't wait another month. So yeah, I wanted to get out there. So what else do you need? So this is going to go into what I played with, and yeah. So we know I've got cards, we know I've got dice, we know I've got tables, and we know if I need to call on an event, I'm going to be rolling a D12 to try and get one of my 12 events which I've scratched down. If I roll the same number again, I'll just choose something else on the list. Re-roll the dice. Same for monsters. If I need to roll for random monsters, I'll be rolling a dice to choose which ones are going to be activated, because the game has them all activated by tokens and such like that. So what you're going to need, for delving, you're going to need a 2x2 space. So I've done a photo Batrep comic book, and that's going to be at the end of this video, just with some music. I don't think I'm going to do a narrative over voice like I did with my Rangers of Shadow Deep. Slightly better than my Rangers of Shadow Deep one. It's slightly more crisp photos, but still fairly simple. So it's a bar. You know, if you're doing lockdown and teaching children, that's my thing. You know, make them do a comic book of one of a war game that you're playing or toys that you're playing with. Anyway, that was in another video. Check out Rangers of Shadow Deep. Hey, maybe I can link it. Bing. Anyway, so for Skyrim, you need a 2x2 space if you're doing a delve, and then you want to make your party. So there are some faction rules. My party, I think, technically would be an adventurer's party. I use the Imperial Mage, I use Hadvar, and I use the Dragonborn. And the rules for an adventuring party that you can only have 50% of the same word is escaping me, battle type. So you've got might, you've got shadow, and you've got sorcery. So I had Hadvar and the Dragonborn, they're both might, and the Imperial Mage is sorcery. So I fit that rule. I can pass. I can call it an adventurer's party. I don't think I could call it an Imperial faction party because they need more followers and heroes. I think that's what I read. So I definitely think it passes as an adventurer's party. And you add up your character's points and his equipment points, and my points came up to 198. I did try playing one game solo with just a Dragonborn on the Voice in the Sky, and that went fairly simply, but I think I was getting lots of rules wrong on that one, just to introduce me to the rules. And then this one, I think I really nailed down the rules, and sort of had played a brief game with a bigger party with followers and just Stormcloak swordsmen following me around. That was a great game. I like that. It felt more like a competitive war game, say like Kings of War Vanguard or even Warcry. But in this one, I had 3 more elites. I had my 3 heroes with their special weapons, and I had the mage for the first time because I wanted to introduce myself to spells. So I spent 198 points. The rules say then make an enemy's adversary spawn pool. And the spawn pool, so it means that the enemies are going to be respawning. When you kill them, they're possibly going to be respawning. And you make them up to the same value as your party, but for every 100 that you spend, you then add another 100. For every 100 that you spend, you then add another 25 onto their spend limit. So their spend limit is 198 plus 25 should be 222. And this is my spawn pool. So I had 2 wolves because they cost 10. I had 3 archers, skeleton archers, they cost 25. I had 3 Draugr swordsmen, they cost 24 each. 1 overlord, spitting out the words here, overlord elite, which is 50 points, and 1 bear, which was from the magazine, which was 35 points. That adds up to 222 points exactly. So my spawn pool was spot on. So I said elite and master there. An elite, once you kill them, they're not going to return to the spawn pool. everyone else will return to the spawn pool and possibly come back as part of joining events in the game. We'll get to that. And only the bear is a master. That means when you take him out, he's going to make an endurance check to see if he maybe remains on 1 hit point, whether he gets staggered or is incapacitated. The rest of them are minions, so when they're hit, they generally have 1 hit point and they should be taken out. Just return to the spawn pool and come back on. The next thing you're going to need to do is make an event deck, as again there's a recipe in the book, and I mentioned that events come in town, forest, mountains, dungeon, so you make the event deck depending on where you're playing the adventure, and it's 11 cards long, okay? Then finally, depending on the adventure, there may be 2 other random deployments that you're going to do. You might be doing random deployments of objectives and random deployments of treasures. And again, there's a bit of a pool here. You'd normally use tokens, so I was using dice if I needed to. And so playing treasures down, you might have open chests, or you might have master chests, locked, open, locked, or master chests. So there's a bit of a pool. You might not pull out a master chest, you might pull out 3 open chests. The number that you put down is based on the number of your party again, so I was 198, so that 200 septim limits, that goal limit, determines how many objective markers you're going to have, how many treasure markers you're going to have. And as for the objectives, they might be static victory point locations. They might be puzzle traps where you need someone intelligent to try and unlock them, or they might be traps and just out to hurt you, really. So I think that covers that. So I then, after you set up, I then chose a quest. I chose Hold the Line, which is the first delve in the book, in the quest book, and it went to it. I just want to think. So Hold the Line. You don't deploy objectives or treasures in that one, but you do set up the board in a specific way that there is a long wall at the far end of the battlefield with 2 doors in it, and your aim is to stop the enemies coming through that and escaping off your side of the board. And you can do that by closing 2 objectives, which are pulleys, which will close those doors. The actual aim of the quest is to kill X number of monsters. If you were sub 100 points, 10 monsters. If you got 100 to 200 points, kill 14 monsters. Every monster, no matter whether it's a minion or a elite or a master, just is going to score you 1 victory point. And then there are oaths which you can take. I think there were 4 oaths or 3 oaths. And you can choose whether you're going to accept that oath at the start of the quest or not. And for instance, the oaths were kill an enemy before it passes the doors at the far end of the battlefield. Kill an enemy by squashing it in the doors. When you activate the pulleys, you actually squash an enemy. And don't let an enemy escape off your side of the board. And if you don't fulfill these, then you lose a victory point, so you might fail the quest. And there was no time limit, so I'm assuming that the limit is the 11 events. After 11 events, you're probably spending too long on the game. And even then, before you start your mission and go at it, there's a table which you can roll on to see if there is a battlefield effect. So if you're in a dungeon, roll a dice. Is a dungeon in darkness? And that limits you line of sight. If you're in the wilderness, is there going to be a blizzard going on? Is it dawn? Is it night? Is it dark? Is the lights going to get brighter as the day goes on? And such like that. So we've seen that before we've definitely seen it in Warcry and Kill Team, probably countless other games as well. And then finally, what else? I've got a bit of a list here that I'm double checking, that I've covered all the points that I wanted to get out there. So we've made your party, we've made a spawn list, and right, yeah, I think then you just go at it. So I move 1 and they move 1. However, if I move 1 and it moves within 6 inches of one of the adversaries, the adversary will then interrupt me. So if I moved into their 6-inch range, before I then maybe shoot or attack, you only do 1 action, so there's no move in this one. There's move and attack, move and shoot, move and hide, move and block, but not a move. But anyway, let's say I moved within 6 inches of an enemy. all enemies in that 6 inches would then activate. They would roll their black dice, which would give them a AI matrix, and that could go between anything like, depending on the characteristic and what you rolled. So the 3 outcomes, you roll the black dice, which has 2 symbols on it, the Oblivion symbol, the Dragonborn helmet, and then numbers. So they're the 3 options that you can get. Just look at a simple matrix down here. If you rolled 1 symbol, that would move towards the objective and then maybe try and shoot or do something. The other symbol would have them maybe just move and attack. If they were beasts, then they're generally just attacking you. If they're a Draugr and slightly more intelligent, they might move to cover and try and shoot you. Just various slightly different, rather than just coming to attack you. A lot of it is just coming to attack you, but sometimes I might move and hide, move and block, if they're not kind of getting into range, because they won't do the move. And this matrix also tells them how to use boosts, and I haven't mentioned boosts yet. Enemies always get a free boost, so if they were in line of sight and in range, they would use their boosts to have a focus, which could give them the extra green dice, which would make them more accurate. And if they were maybe already melee, they would swing and maybe roll for adding an extra. If they hit you, they would roll an extra yellow dice to do more damage to you. And if they were sprinting and they're too far away, they would use a boost to sprint and move an extra 2 or 3 inches, depending if they were in light or heavy armor. So there were boosts. Heroes can boost as well, and they can do the exact same boosts. Heroes use stamina, which I say finite source. It regenerates at the end of every turn. So the Dragonborn, I think, has 4 stamina. The Wizard has 2 stamina. And if you use one, you'll get one back at the start of your turn. So it's generally always there to use. And I think there might be more advanced skills where it might cost 2 stamina to use. When we get into magic, that works in the same way. I was trying to think ballpark. I don't know why. In the same way, you'd spend 1 stamina. A spell might say you can boost this spell by 2 to make it more powerful. In which case, you spent more of your reserves. So next turn, you might only be able to cast it at its basic level. And things like that, or you're choosing between casting a powerful spell or lots of little spells, or casting it but not boosting it to its max, so you're kind of more consistent, or maybe you just need to burn something right there and then. So boosting is good. I like the boosting mechanic. It gives you that extra. It reminds me of Descent, the Descent stamina mechanic, to be honest. Once everyone has moved, so I've moved, he's moved, I've moved my guys, he's moved his guys, and then everyone is activated. We then draw an event card. The event card always has a spawn number on it, and it will spawn 1, 2, or 3 monsters, generally at the spawn point on the map defined at the beginning of the game. In the Hold the Line, that's the other end of the battlefield, and they're always trying to move on and move off the other side of the board. Some event cards might change that and say it's just come from the shadows and it's more near, it spawns closer to you. And then, once you spawn the monster, you then have the effects of the card, and that can range from things like there's been a change in the weather, it's suddenly become dark, a blizzard has started up, the gods have given you a blessing, they might heal you, you might have a sudden, if you're engaged, you might be able to dodge out of combat, you might find a treasure cache or a hidden path. That gives you some sort of, I'm going to say teleportability. It's like you have a hole, if you dash down the hole, you're going to reappear at the other end of the hole. There might be a riddle on the board to give you victory points if you decipher it, and such like that. There's various things. We've seen events. I mean, Warcry has a twist card, but that's one twist for the entire game. This one has an event at the end of every turn, and that's more in line with, say, Rangers of Shadow Deep, which is another solo game, solo cooperative game that you can play. But Rangers of Shadow Deep, the events are much more tied to your specific adventure, the mission that you're on, because it uses a deck of cards mechanic and a table, whereas these are cards that you've made up. But I'm wondering where they're going to go with that in the future. Is it going to be a specific deck for a specific quest line? I do wonder about that for now. Or will it go like table-based, or I don't know. We don't know. We'll see that in the future, I'm sure. Yeah, so those they can be positive or negative effects from those events. So I jotted down at least 11 events, and as I said, I was rolling dice to see which one I peeled, rather than drawing cards because I don't own the cards at the moment. Looking forward to it when I do. Ultimately, I think that's it really, and then you keep playing until you've completed the objective, defeated the foes, and won that mission. I can't quite say I timed my games because I was too busy trying to flick up and down a PDF. I did record it, but again, I don't think it's worthy of putting it up on a Batrep at the moment, so I've made this sort of comic book style just to tell a story. You can see the photos. I'm using D&D miniatures, I'm using my homemade terrain, because the factions themselves, I think they're very easy to proxy. But I do want that Skyrim look and feel overall, and I think they're going to be great models for various other games I play, so Shadow Deep, Kings of War Vanguard and such like that. But anyway, what did the game remind me of? So at the end of it, I mean, it really came down to me. My first game was Hero Quest, and it's like a solo Hero Quest scenario, adventure. The monsters are spawning, some of them are 1 hit points, you're just charging up to them and cleaving them down, hoping that you're not getting too beat up in the process. I can't say I've experienced tactics at the moment, so these are 2 very simple ones where I had to kill X number of monsters before the time ran out. So I'm tentative to delve further into the book at the moment, or wait for the official book and jump to something else like Rangers Shadow Deep, where I know I've got the book and the miniatures and I'm fine. But I liked it. I like, for me, every game that I've played, I've always wished they had a stat line so they could pickpocket and hide and be intelligent to figure out riddles and close doors and such like that. Most of the games that I've played, it's been the stat line of you do damage and you kill things. That's it. That's Hero Quest, isn't it? You go down the dungeon, you're just whacking away. There's not much interaction with the environments. Other than opening a door, there's very rarely the traps that just trigger. There's not a chance to search for the traps or disable the traps. So I'm just liking that that's there as a framework. So I've not seen it in play too much at the moment because I didn't have treasure chests to pick lock rather than bash open and such like that. But the framework there, and as I say, the first game I played when I started playing with more minis rather than just as Dragonborn, it did feel more like a war game as well. So yeah, I'm impressed with what I've seen so far. I'm looking forward to more. I'm just tentative about waiting for the official release before really going into a more detailed Batrep. I think the delay is going to be too long to wait, so I think I am going to do something again. I'm going to try and do a faster Batrep when I'm more in tune with my cards. As I say, I went from scruffy notes to having more detailed notes that I can easily... I'm not going to get it in this light. So I'm going to think my next game setup is going to be much easier for me to do. My dice have improved. Rather than being a table, I can just roll these. So I'm good to go. I only need the table full of 20-sided dice, and even that, a lot of the time I can refer to the numbers. It's only 1, 11, 17, 18 and 19, which have sort of symbols on, so even that is in my head now. I know what's a critical and I know what's a replenishment. So things should go smoother in the future for me, really. That's it. So I have been playing this alongside Rangers Shadow Deep, which is a very similar game, cooperatively and solo-like. I do like Rangers Shadow Deep for its simplicity of just rolling 2 20-sided dice, but I can see the draw of these dice rather than remembering lots of pluses and minuses from tables like kill teams. Are you obscured? Are you in heavy cover? Are you a sniper, which gives you +1? Basically, the dice tell a story for you. A red dice is going to do a lot more damage or block a lot more damage. In the case of my mage, he had Imperial Light Armor, which is one of these. Didn't have any bonuses like special symbols. Or that armor didn't have the special symbols. There are armors which do have special symbols. So the light armor would generally be block very few, but if you roll the special symbol, you get to roll the dice again, so block more. Ranged attacks would often be a green and a yellow. When it got to the long range, it would just be a yellow to show that your arrows lost power further down. So I can see it makes it simple. It looks complex because it's like freedom dice, but you know, you soon get to know these are the dice that I'm rolling for this character. When you're solo, you are juggling that around a little bit. Look, double checking your notes and your cards. But yeah, I'm good for it at the moment. I'm good for it. I love an adventure. I've been watching Let's for the King. I've been looking for the book as well. Very corny, childish adventure, but it's got me into that sort of Dragonheart kind of world again. I've been reading adventure books. I've been reading the Frostgrave Oathscold and listening to Cersei on an audiobook. I've got lots of things going on in my mind at the moment. Just keeping me going during the lockdown. I am still working, unfortunately, so that's why I've not played as much as I want to. I can work from home, sadly. Other than that, I think it's a strong thumbs up from me right now, and I do want to do more of it. But I think I'm going to diverge into Shadow Deep for a little while longer before exploring more, in anticipation that we'll hear the lockdown or maybe shipping is lifted and we can get the actual physical Skyrim miniatures, Skyrim books, so it's easier to flick through, and I'll have better content in the future. So I will leave you with my comic strip. So timestamp here, we'll start with the comic strip, but it is just pictures of D&D models. I don't think I gain much of the game, but I'm loving it. I'm loving lockpicks, I'm loving Skyrim, I'm loving Dragon Shouts, I'm loving boosts, stamina, magicka, that little bit of resource management. I'm liking events, but I would like to see more tailored events to the missions. I know it's meant to be generic and maybe like a versus game where the events can be more generic, but delve-wise, when they get into the campaign release, which is the next release month after this, I am wondering which way they're going to go with it. Lots of cards, or specific card deck for that adventure, or a curated deck. The magazine had a curated deck, so it said, you don't have to use these cards, but we do recommend you go for the Way of the Voice, the Blessing of Acre, Divine Inspiration, Evasive Maneuvers, and the Call of the Storm, Calm Before the Storm, and Open Ground. It tells you 6 cards to include, and then maybe 6 that you could make yourself. And yeah, that is it. There's not that many modifiers to remember. If you're behind cover, you're going to get an extra armor dice. There's no pluses or minuses because the green dice covers all that. What else have I doing? Ooh, I've been painting my Soul Drain Forest, which is going to look great. And I've been playing last thing. I was demoing it with, this is my Hold the Line game, and I've got a little dungeon game. So I've been playing it with Lego miniatures as well as D&D miniatures. I've just been having a wacky time, really. Vlog over, rambling over. Yeah. Hope you're staying safe. I hope the lockdown's going well for you and your family and friends are all okay. Hope you're painting lots, building lots, crafting lots, and anticipating what we're going to do when we get out there and we can finally get back to our tables and friends and play an actual versus game. Yeah, I'll leave it there. Thank you very much for watching Mark's Dice Tales. Like and subscribe. Give me a comment on where you want to. Should I delve deeper into Skyrim, or should I go to Shadow Deep and wait for the Skyrim official stuff? What do you think below? Let me know. Thank you. Goodbye.